What's up everybody, JP here. Today we are going to be doing my 1,000 mile review on the System3 XCR 350s. Why do I think this is important? Hold on, we'll jump right into it. Hey guys, before we get too far deep into this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. This is a small but growing channel. We're putting out all kinds of great content all the time, and we want you to be a part of it and not miss a second. Okay, so first off, let's talk about tire size, right? These are the 3510 R15s. I'm running 35s on this. I'm running shock therapy springs, plenty of clearance, plenty of power. Clutching's done, all that kind of good stuff. Am I a person that's fairly heavy on the pedal? Yes, most definitely. Have I been good about rotating these tires? No, not really. They've only been changed one time. I want to really drive into the reasons why I chose them and the style of riding that we're doing around here. So clearly you can see that we do a considerable amount of desert style riding, mountain style riding, chunky rocks, roads, some fast stuff. We get into crawling as much as we possibly can, but honestly, right here locally, not a ton. We kind of have to travel out to do that, and so we may run to Vernal or MOAB or Kanab or even down to St. George and things like that. I would say that these tires right now have probably 300 miles on them, maybe, that is just straight slick rock, maybe 400. But in reality, while I said this was a 1,000 mile review, I'm actually pushing almost 1,400 on these. And I didn't really want to say it was a 1,500 mile review because it's not there yet. So I'm gonna start with one downfall first. If you're riding in the mud, these do not do a great job in the mud. They spin up a bit. You really have to be heavy on the gas to clear the lugs. It's a much tighter lug pattern. Kind of remind me of the BFG all-terrains from the old off-roading days. They kind of have a similar thing going to that. What they are is a very flat and smooth rolling tire, and they absorb rocks and crap really, really well. One thing I don't do with these is fling rocks like I've done with tires in the past. Now, one of our guys in the group is running the 370s, which he absolutely loves. That's a deeper lug pattern, more of a mud style terrain, good for gripping rocks and things like that. I would say that one's a little more similar to like the Tusk Terabyte, which is another tire that's running in our riding group as well. What we all seem to used to run were Mongrels. I think everybody who's been around for a long time has probably run at least one set of those, and I couldn't get more than about 700 miles out of those treads before they were just wiped out. So now that's what I want to talk about here. In measuring these treads and where I've worn them out now in a little over 1,300 miles, they started out with 5/8 depth, 0.625, and now I am just a hair's width, under half an inch of even tire wear. Okay, so that alone I think is pretty impressive because they are still gripping really super hard. They are still churning the way that they're supposed to. And I don't have to be shopping for tires. And now this comes from a person who's somewhat of a tire addict. On my very first side-by-side, it came with 32 Mongrels. Again, smoked in no time. After the Mongrels, I had 3 different sets of tires that I was rotating through, and just whatever conditions were, I would just sort of swap out at the time. I had the ITP Ultracross in a 34. I actually really liked those, but if the ground was even slightly wet, they just did not want to play. I had the motoboss in a 35-inch. If it was muddy or if it was snowy, those things were great. Heavy and stiff, but you know what those are meant for. I had another set of mud terrains that were actually more truck tires, lighter truck tires, for if I was gonna take the thing on the street and just kind of wear it out. And maybe I only put 20 or 30 miles on it, but here's where they shine. High speed, chunky. They absorb, like I said, rocks and hard edge bumps so well. They are crazy strong and stable. They are extremely predictable. You can go into a slide and feel confident that it's going to catch when you need it to. You can get just the right amount of spin. You can really put a lot of trust into the tire. and that is invaluable to me. Now, I run these at different PSIs depending on where I am. I don't go higher than a 12. They're rated up more in the like 15 to 18 range, but I think that that's a little too stiff. I actually have a little heavier spring set, so I need a little bit more cushion in my tires. So I run these between an 8 PSI and a 12 PSI. That's just where they sit. No holes, no patches, no punctures, never blown it off the bead. No problem. I just couldn't say enough about them. I'm just a consumer. I am not sponsored by anybody. I would like to be. That would be really nice because I clearly have a problem and it requires, I don't know, 3 or 4 jobs and income streams to support my issues. So again, here we are, 1,350 miles into it. The tires are wearing spectacularly. They still practically look new. They even still have the little rubber, little things. I don't even know what these things are called, but I know that it has them. They're just looking great. So if you are looking for a killer all-terrain tire, something to go rip out in the dirt, something to rip on gravel trails, something that grips really well on slick rock, but just gives you a good all-around, low wear, comfortable ride, you gotta check them out. 100% worth it. I think I'll be sticking with System 3 for a long time.